Welcome to the ninth episode of the Super Spectrum, joined by my friend Jorge, and we're going to get into one battle after another. So we're going to review it and then get into some spoilers, break down the movie a bit. You know how we do it by now, hopefully. So happy that we're here with my brother Jorge. He uh he is the biggest film buff I know. So I don't want to yeah, but I think he understands where I'm coming from, right? You know where I'm coming from, right, Jorge? Of
I do. I appreciate the shout out, man. Thank you.
course. You're welcome, brother.
Yeah.
Uh, he's done stuff in the past that has inspired me to do this, so um, I'm very happy that he's made it here. So hopefully he's a mainstay, as much as he wants to.
I appreciate it, dude. No, I'm really happy to be here. You're an inspiration too, and yeah, it's
Thank
gonna
you.
be great talking about some stuff. So yeah, let's get started.
All right. Thank you, brother. So this movie, for me, was a masterpiece. I love Paul Thomas Anderson, and there were a couple times where I thought that maybe it was a little, it wasn't subtle enough, or maybe it was, the actors were a little bit, you know, their performance wasn't so good. But I did feel that at the end of the day, Paul Thomas Anderson made it work, and I think that those unsubtleties, right, that seemed to make the movie a little bit almost unlifelike, and uh, how the characters act or what they said. At the end of the day, I could see that people acting like this, and at the same time, doesn't really matter because it's fiction. But then also the actors, where when they weren't acting as like lifelike as I would have thought, I think that that could also be excused away, as some people just don't act with a lot of emotion. So really though, what I think made this movie for me a masterpiece is the ideas, the story, the heart. And you guys know, if I don't think I could make the movie better, I'll just basically give it a 10, because um, I feel like, well, there's a little difference. Like I'll either give it a 9 or above. 10, I say for the movies that I feel were really, what I say all the time is they were risking themselves. The artists were risking themselves in the name of love, and I feel like this movie definitely does that. Um, and so, yeah, but the story was amazing. There's such deep symbolism and characters, and really, yeah. Here's the thing, guys. The review, for me is not the main part, but I did write a lot for everything else. So I think that maybe I'm just gonna give it away to Jorge. He's gonna do the best review in this video, absolutely. So uh, as long as you want, Jorge, we won't spoil anything until later.
Cool. Yeah. No, I'm good with that. I definitely want to save more. Go into it more later on, but yeah. Yeah, you put me on the spot, but yeah, I gotta say I loved it too. I think it's only gotten better for me the more time has passed since I've watched it. I would, right after seeing it the first time, I liked it a lot, but there was definitely some gripes that I had. I think since then, those gripes have, you know, become less and less bothersome, and I think something that I really agree with you. I think the ideas and what it's aiming to do, I think for me, a lot of times I can trump a lot of issues that movies have sometimes. I think if there's something that it's getting at that I think is really special and interesting, I feel like that's almost, more important sometimes. And yeah, I mean, I think the movie, I'm not sure if I would say it's a masterpiece quite yet. I'd probably have to sit on it a bit more. But yeah, I think it's really stupendous. Like, technically, everything about it is just top notch. Every technical aspect about the movie is like no complaints. The performances are great. I don't think there's almost any issues really that I can go into, at least right now. So yeah, I would just say it's a great film. It's probably the best film I've seen this year, and yeah, I do agree with you on that for sure.
That's awesome, Jorge. I love that you said it's grown on you, and it's grown on me too. And at first I was like, oh no, Eddington's still definitely my number one, but
Oh,
now
interesting.
now I feel they're both trying to say, you know, um, trying to trying to add and help the world, add to and help the world in just the same amount of uh way or amount,
Yeah,
because this movie it probably has a lot more that people could understand versus Eddington. I feel like a lot of what Eddington is trying to teach is a little bit hard to understand, or at least maybe the the best of what Eddington has to offer is maybe the hardest things to understand about it. And that's probably the same about this movie too. But I think this movie is a little bit more approachable at getting to those things. And yeah, they're both super deep. And it's funny, they're both very similar in their message, like with you know, tribalism or ego and power and dominance. But there's stuff to love about them both. And I'm so happy that we have them now for forever. Great movies.
yeah, no, that's interesting. You mentioned that. I know some people have said that, and it's
Mm.
very true. I do think they're pretty similar. I think when I came out, that was like the one movie I was kind of thinking back on. Like, I was like, this kind of reminds me a little bit to Eddington. Like, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between the two, whether it's I guess just like the socio-political like climate and how it like tackles the subjects. And I think we can certainly go into it more. I also had a similar experience with that one where I came out and I wasn't too keen on it. I think it's grown on me a lot. I think I do prefer this one um, a bit more. I think the messaging I feel like is more. I don't want to say. I think Eddington's a bit more pessimistic. I feel, or maybe I think this one, and like I said, we'll get into it, but I think it leaves with more of a note of hope and like the idea that things could get better. And I remember after Eddington, I was just like, like it was just like feeling of dread, just like which is good too. I feel like I think they're like two sides of the same coin. So yeah, but I do agree with that comparison, and yeah, I guess when we speak more in detail, we can bring that back up. But yeah, it's very true, and I agree with your sentiments about that.
I like that you said that one gave you more dread and one gave you more hope. And I think Eddington leaves you maybe with more of a shock in your system, but it's
Yeah,
wild. How about we get into the spoilers now?
good
The
with that.
Thank you. The the main villains, which in Eddington is, the main character, um, he's an anti-hero, I guess you could say. Although he
Yeah.
starts out as a hero in many ways. He he and the main villain of this film, Lockjaw, they both end up disfigured, and they both end up um like completely powerless, and that was their main goal. And I feel like that's a huge lesson that it's trying to teach, and we're going to get into that. I feel like a big problem with the main villain is also a big problem with another character in this film who is a villain. She Perfidia. Let me make sure I'm saying that right. Yeah, or Perfidia. Perfidia.
Video, yeah.
Yeah, she's like so power driven and selfish, and it really ends up biting her in the butt. But I think, yeah, that's a lesson we all need to learn. But I'm going to get into that. So I have her at the end, but Jorge, I'm going to start off with, let's talk about Bob,
Okay. Sure.
Leonardo DiCaprio's character, right? That's
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 him.
that's him and his daughter are the main characters, basically. Maybe him more.
Yeah.
How did you think their performances were first?
Um, Interesting question. Despite what I said earlier about, I do think the performances in the film are uh, pretty excellent throughout.
Hmm.
If I have, when I was mentioning like maybe the few things that I'm not 100% on, my only caveat is that I do feel like as good as DiCaprio is, and I think he's really good in the movie. I don't think he's bad by any means, but I've always had like a love hate relationship with him. I feel like sometimes I feel this is a really weird thing to say, because I feel like my acting, and you're a testament to this, is not great whenever I've done it, but
My
yeah.
opinion's the complete opposite of that. So you
Okay.
guys got to see George. Please check out Jorge. He's on my Instagram. You could go to our old YouTube channel. So find
Oh,
that the Pure Pill.
oh
But yeah,
man, you're gonna make my case even better, but appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Yeah, I think he's good in the movie. I feel like he's obviously skewing for like a very comedic performance. Like his character is very, I guess, just talk about first his performance and then maybe like the characterization. He he plays it very over the top. I feel like sometimes it felt like he was going, it was almost like you'd feel like he was trying. That's a weird thing to say, maybe. And but like I said, I still think he's really good, and I honestly feel like the more weighty and emotional parts of the character, like the kind of journey that he goes through, I feel like he sells it a lot better for me. I think, and I'm sure we'll get more into this, but like his arc of like kind of where the movie starts and how they kind of go back into when he was a revolutionary and like the work that he was doing and just him falling in love with, I forgot the character's name.
It's the wildest name ever, Perfidia.
Perfidia, yeah. Thank you. The one we're
You're
talking about.
welcome.
Yeah, his relationship with her is really interesting, and I think I really sell like their kind of, his attraction to her and like kind of their bond, and an aspect that I really do find very touching, and I feel like this is why the movie works so well, is him and his daughter. I think I also forgot her name, so I apologize for that. Do you remember the character's name?
Willa,
Willa,
short
yeah.
for Willifred.
Yes, yes, thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
Willa's, yeah, Chase Infinity. Yeah, his relationship with her is like very, very heartwarming. I feel like a lot of what makes the film work in terms of the messaging and like kind of like the hopefulness that I was kind of referring to is like mainly to do with both of them. And I feel like he would really like, I really bought into his like journey of like trying to rescue her. And even though, obviously like things don't really go his way, and like he probably attempts more than he succeeds. I feel like ultimately he really that was like very beautiful, and yeah, and Chase Infinity in that movie is fantastic. Like I think this is I think she might have acted maybe like once or twice before this. I know this is like a big breakthrough performance for her. I love her performance. I think the character is very I don't want to say one note. Obviously, she's someone who seems to resent a lot of what her dad has done in terms of like prepping her for what happens in the film, like him just like being kind of paranoid about like when things will, eventually happen where they would have to like be found. Sorry. Yeah, just him like prepping her for whatever happens in the future if like they ever do decide to like hunt them down, and obviously that comes to fruition, and like her then all of a sudden have to like prove herself, and I feel like that aspect of her is very like she really sells her like motivation, her determination, and like just everything that she does. I feel like I just completely bought into it, and yeah, it's beautiful relationship. Both of them are great. Like I said, I only have a few issues with like some of the acting choices that DiCaprio does, but yeah, overall I would say like they are definitely the core, the heart of the movie. And yeah, Bob's a really great character. I will say though, I love his a lot of his lines, and the way he dresses, like everything's great. But let me throw it at you. Like, what did you think about him?
Loved it, but exactly what you said. There was only one point um, where I thought his character felt a little like I got taken out for a second, and it was I think when he would, and it's exactly what you're saying. Like, it felt like he was trying. Maybe if you know, like he wasn't the person who he was. It was like an actor trying to be the person who he was almost. You
Yeah,
know, and it was when he's like, um, he just smoked and he just found out that he's being chased by Lockjaw, and he's like, "Don't lose your cool,"
yeah,
something like that. I was just like, and then also the other thing that sometimes might have pulled me out, I don't even remember fully, but is like that's Leonardo DiCaprio. I've seen him in ten million things,
yeah,
Yeah. So it wasn't like with Joaquin Phoenix in Inherent Vice, where it's just like this is whatever the main character's name in that movie is.
I think it's Doc Sportello.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's that's Doc Sportello, That movie is just yeah. But that being said, I will give the and then Chasing Infinity, amazing. I thought that she was totally believable. I thought, she really understood what her character was going through and acted it. Shirley, and I think Leo did too. I think they both did a great job. And I just have a personal preference. I think more for Doc and Joaquin. But anyways, they're both great. And I would give this movie a 10. If you want to, give it a score, go ahead. Just because we left the review portion, so if you want.
score. I would definitely be leaning towards maybe like an 8.5, 9. I think I'll leave it like an 8.5 for now. Yeah, I guess we'll go more into it, but yeah, I will say that's where my score stands, at least for now. It'll probably go
Cool.
higher the more times I watch it and stuff.
And I think this movie, I think 8.5 is a good like if a person who loves movies gives it 8.5, then it's gonna be a classic. I think 8.5 is like that's the probably the bare minimum. Maybe no, not a bare minimum. That this is being a little bit because I would give, and I love movies, and I would give like The Grinch Who Stole Christmas a 10. So
Okay.
everyone's different. But anyways,
Yeah,
um, so let's talk about now these, not these characters. Let's just talk about Bob for a little bit. I have two things I want to say about Bob. Let me know what you think, George. Let me know
sure.
what you think, brother. So Leo has the Buddha necklace in his car later in the film, showing that he's starting to take the middle path, which balances self-love and love for others. I'll
Mm.
contrast this later um, with the way that Perfidia and Lockjaw are all pure selfishness, you know, so all self-love. But anything to say right there, Jorge?
Oh, that's interesting. Uh, I hadn't noticed that detail. You said that was like in his car, or like what was the thing that he had?
In that like rice burner car that he just somehow gets into,
Yeah.
there's a jade necklace like Buddha um
Oh wow.
pendant on it. Yes, but
No.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I hadn't noticed that. But I think that's very true. I think you might be getting at with something. I do feel like that's kind of the journey that he takes, like just like his affection and like I guess decisiveness to go forward, and like his kind of like mission is to primarily like just ensure his daughter is safe, and I feel like that's emblematic of like that path or that symbolism there. But that's a great detail. I didn't know. I hadn't noticed that, so thank you for pointing it out.
of course, brother. Yes. His character is the character in the film who's learning that path, and the character, although he starts as a very loving, patient father, so he's already more selfless, but the characters who have perfected it, that selflessness, which is at the heart of being a protester, is at the heart of being a revolutionary, but it's it's a second or it's a yeah, it's the second, it comes secondary when we're talking about Perfidia.
Yeah.
And him and Leonardo and Bob as a young man, it comes secondary because they're especially Perfidia, their rush for conquest, dominance, and you know, honestly, like violence is is something driving them even more,
Yeah.
and that's the selfishness. And so she's completely unbalanced. Anyways, we'll get into that more later, but and it'll make more sense if it didn't make sense yet for any viewers. But and I know I'm not being very clear. I had to go about writing or organizing what I was going to say in a different way. So I actually wrote more talking about the middle path earlier, and it would have been first, but I think this actually works out better. So, anyways, now here's another thing about Bob.
Hmm.
Bob goes from starting out the movie as a bomber and ends it as a sniper. Sniper is a sharpshooter, and they go right down the middle path.
Mm.
They only take out specific targets with lesser chance of collateral damage. The risk of others getting hurt is far less than that of a bomb. This is symbolic of the destructive nature of a revolutionary, right? The bomber, versus that of civil servants, such as the nuns or the sensei, right? These are the characters who have perfected the middle path, I'll talk about later. And this change shows that Bob has grown. He was reckless as a revolutionary. Now he is more disciplined in his approach and thus does a better job of taking care of others. Just like the disciplined sensei, he takes care of his non-biological family in a controlled manner, right?
Mhm.
So Bob's daughter's not even his. Sensei's immigrant extended family that are part of his they're closer to him genetically, right? Maybe
Yeah.
that's the, even if it wasn't meant as a symbolism, maybe that was the subconscious, coming out, there, it's like taking care of your extended family, which is, to me, I've said it in earlier reviews. First, you start taking care of yourself, then you take care of your family, then you take care of your friends, then you start taking care of your community, and you
Mm.
do it all together. You teach everyone else to become like you, kind leader, and you all work as one.
Yeah.
And the best chance you have at that is with the people who you have the most rapport with and who know how much you care, right? And they're going to work the hardest with you. And when Perfidia betrays her family or her friends, her disloyalty for her friends, which are representative of that extended family she's trying to take care of, the one that she's a part of, this minority disenfranchised group, when she betrays them and is disloyal to them, that is um she fails her cause, because that's what those people are her cause is supposed to be saving those people. And so the
Mm.
second she betrays them, that's when everything is done. But we're going to get into that even more too later. So
Yeah.
that's what I wrote the most on, but that was all about Bob. We could move on from him if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say like that was a really insightful kind of breakdown in terms of that aspect of the film. Again, that's not something I had thought of about. I think it's interesting that you're mentioning that. I feel like um, a lot. It's funny because I think when I see people talk about the movie a lot, they pinpoint how I think Bob is an interesting character because he is very much I think as much as like the other people that are in his group of revolutionaries, like he's ultimately like wants the best for everyone. Obviously he doesn't go about it in the most efficient way. He's very inefficient, but yeah, I do think through the process of like the characters that he meets, especially Sensei and the he's more emblematic of like the type of thing that Bob lacks, like just being more cool in the situations that he finds himself in. He's like panicking, and Sensei is very much like just he's someone that, to your point, like he has it more together. Like he first and foremost like knows how to kind of react to the situation, and then he kind of just like maneuvers everyone. He tells everyone like what to do, and even like helps Bob to just kind of realize that like it's fine, like it'll be okay. And yeah, he's a great character too, and I feel like I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know how much Bob really changes by the end of it, but at least I do feel like he gets an insight into that type of. I feel like unlike maybe something with the what are they called, the French do you remember like the organization they were part of, the
In
French
the
what?
French Revolution? Oh no, the French 75 or
The
57.
Yeah, the French 75, I think. Um, like it seems like their actions are a bit more reckless, and ultimately, I mean, with the way that things end up, that compared to like Sensei and like his kind of like just like whole community um uh that he established, and just like how he helps them all kind of like deal with the raid that's going on and everything, like that's a very interesting like contrast. And yeah, maybe I'm digressing a little bit, but yeah, I do think that, to your point, like it seems like Bob might have gotten a lot of insight into his own like kind of view, and learn a bit more after having experienced that kind of like togetherness, and comparably like more stable like an what's it called um I'm like the words blanking me out right now, not organization, but like just like um yeah, just like the way that they all have it together, like he seems to really have learned from that. So yeah, but really really good observations. I really appreciate you pointing that out.
Of course, thank you, Jorge, and thank you for bringing up that Leo and Bob like has that personality rub off on him, the calmness, you know, and like you said, everything's gonna be okay,
Yeah,
you know. That look at how the sensei treats his arrest compared to how Pravidia treats her arrest.
for
They're
sure.
they're completely different, right? And he gets in way less trouble than she does, but you know, for good reason. And I think that when you're I won't get into the mystical, so much I think this review, I'll point anyone for my worldview. If they want to know my worldview, go to the Honey Don't review. Um, but like I do believe in karma, and I believe that him doing a more quiet way and being more in tune with the world. I don't know, like there's a lot of concepts I want to bring up, but we only have so much time and we've just scraped the surface. So let's keep going. But
Sure.
yeah. I break down karma in the Honey Don't review. So don't please don't think that I'm some rosy color spectacle person and thinking the world's all great and I'm just a good person, so everything good's gonna happen to me. I know bad things happen to good people, but I do see that sometimes the biggest mistake, the worst things in life will be the biggest lessons, and they were necessary for that reason. Um, and but anyways, you know, please do check that out if you guys want to know more about how I see the world. Anyways, let's go. So, the Christmas Adventure Club, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it took me a while. I was like, Christmas, like, but of course, Christian, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So here's what we have here. What are your thoughts on that, Jorge? First, did you like that aspect of the film?
Yeah, I honestly like that was such a weird element to the movie. I wasn't honestly, like I didn't know much about the movie beforehand, so, and to be honest, like one of the reasons I love that is because I had no idea like what the fuck was gonna happen. Sorry, can we curse? I didn't even like think
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, I'm all about it.
Okay. I didn't know like what was going to happen. Like I was so enthralled by like the experience that that aspect was just very, I feel like it was very fitting. I think, going back to like the Eddington comparison, like I think the thing that makes Eddington work is because it like takes very realistic, it very grounded subjects, and I mean obviously a lot of it is like based on things that did happen, while it's maybe the main kind of story isn't, and it's fictitious, but like the elements of like what did actually happen, like, anyway. But I feel like the humor comes from like just how relatable those things are, and just like taking those elements and amping up like the that's absurdity. And I feel like that is also an aspect of this that I feel like it's doing that with that group specifically, like just
Mhm.
I was talking to a friend about it right after the movie. I like that it's, I think, and I might not be able to word this in the best way possible, but I think it's more of a front to kind of kind of comment on like organizations that are like the higher power, like how, what are they called, like the secret society and stuff like that. Like I think it's poking fun at that, like the idea that like there's like this secret organization that's like, in the shadows, just like, working and lurking, and just like the absurdity of it, like just like the fact that it's like Christmas centric is just like really, and I mean it's a good point. Like it might allude more so into like the Christian aspect, but I think it's more so just like making fun of that idea, and like, well, what would they believe in that's really absurd? It's like, oh, they're like a Christmas centric like organization, like because that's such a, I guess, like wholesome and like very um just like benevolent like thing, and just to make it like what these people are believing and like base all their like horrible actions on, it's just like,
That's funny.
so, yeah, so it was hilarious, and I love that. I think, honestly I couldn't get enough of that. I love all the scenes that is involved, like Sean Penn's character, I think Jockla was his name, sorry, I'm bad
Sean
with it.
Lockjaw.
Lockjaw, thank you. Yeah,
You're welcome.
him and his whole kind of um his relationship with them and like trying to be a part of it, and then yeah, just like super silly. I think it's great, and yeah, I do think it's an important aspect to the kind of commentary that the film is trying to get at. But what did you think about it?
I have a lot of thoughts, George. Or,
Yeah,
but the Lockjaw character, real quick. Lockjaw, he doesn't he doesn't talk. He follows the orders, and we see that also with the Perfidia relationship, and also
yeah,
he's in the military. So even though he's commanding a lot of people, um, it's all about the uniformity of the military, right? They're
for sure.
following orders, executing orders, and
Yeah,
he's just his jaw is locked. He's not talking. He's just doing whatever these CAC, the Christian or the Christmas Adventurers Club, wants him to do. And so he's almost the opposite of, the protester against them, right? So there's a contrast there. Um, but so let's go into what I wrote. So
yeah,
Christmas Adventurers Club reminds me of the Explorers Club. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Have you heard of the Explorers Club?
yeah.
Not
It's like
okay.
not like what?
Not the high school like thing, no.
Is it like Boy Scouts or is that like
No,
different thing?
it's not that either. It's
Okay.
similar actually, but it's an adult group. I think I was just looking up today. It started in 1904, but Theodore Roosevelt was an honorary member, and so was I wrote it down. Um, Buzz Aldrin. So there's been famous people, and so the I knew of the Explorers Club while I was watching the movie, and so
Hmm.
I was like, this is definitely, it's like the cheery, like you were saying before, Christmas cheery, but also explorers, adventurers, like it has like like a just like a positive, they're trying to, give you a positive view of them when they're
Hmm.
doing when they're creating their name. But anyways, well, with that being said first though, having the famous people, having the blah blah blah, like this is, I do believe that might have that Explorers Club and that cheery name might have been an inspiration, especially because explorers and adventurers are kind of the same thing. Um, so the club also reminds me of Christian conservatives, with its mention of Christmas in its name implying the group's Christianity.
Mm.
Later on, the group is portrayed as a radical religious group, which could be likened to Zionist Christians, even though they're also linked with Nazis when they cremate Lockjaw, which perhaps also alludes to them being neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
These groups all have in common the perils of dominance and belief in supremacy.
Hmm.
The perils that come with dominance and the belief in supremacy. That belief of supremacy is more understandable, yet just as destructive when it is embodied within the ideology of the revolutionaries who believe their way makes them superior, right?
Hmm.
Them trying to dominate another, zero balance.
Yeah.
That's the you know, that's really what causes their destruction. So their meetings, the CAC, the Christmas Adventurers Club, their meetings are deep underground, which likens them to Satan,
Hmm.
hell. Their
Yeah.
greeting is even Hail Saint Nick, just like Hail Satan.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
one CAC member loves the chicken nuggets, but hates the workers who make them. So he's contradicting himself. Just like Perfidia, who sells out her minority friends, and just like Lockjaw, who has interracial relationships.
Yeah.
So they're walking contradictions, zero balance, right? Excuse me. No moderation, no temperance. Um, the CAC member who kills Lockjaw, named Tim, wears Patagonia. This might be a comment on how white colonialist empires have justified tearing down and commodifying the commodification of the rainforest and its resources with their efforts to modernize and their smaller efforts to preserve nature.
Hmm.
So just that's what I wrote for them.
Wow.
That was you like anything in particular to comment
uh
on?
yeah, I mean, that's a lot. But you really dove into it. Yeah, I would say those things do seem to ring true based on what stuff or kind of like the aspects that we're discussing. Do you feel like so? Do you think there's like an underlying thing that it's poking at specifically in terms of what exactly do you think they're parodying? Or I don't know if you think they're parodying something, but like, what do you think they're trying to get at with that?
Well, a lot of these groups that find themselves to be superior in whatever way, be it the Nazis, be it the Zionists, be it the Christians, um, be it the I'm not exactly yeah, but they're all spiritualists. They're all spiritual, and yet they have no spirituality. And they're following they think, you know, they've perverted the spirituality to make to in their eyes make it seem like they're the good guys, and their worldview is good, right?
Yeah,
But it's all really out of it's all out of fear. I don't believe any of them really. Most of them do not actually believe in spirituality.
yeah,
Um, um, and I feel like that makes them lose hope, and so they find that they might as well just have the most power for power's sake. And this is why, there are those groups. I think a lot of the groups operate on different reasons, but
yeah,
I do think that there are people just like the CAC who are um, as soulless almost, or at least as selfish as possible, but meanwhile they are, parading around as holy people, and they're not at all. But they haven't really ever thought about they've only really followed, a belief. And I think
mhm,
usually that's the problem is they follow a belief that they don't really believe in because the belief, the organized religion,
yeah,
um, it seems so unbelievable, which it's understandable why they'd be skeptical of, right? Because we don't see those miracles in everyday life. So once you see that, you can become extremely um, apathetic and pessimistic towards life and say, okay, well, if this is what spirituality is, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I might
yeah,
as well just use it for whatever I want it in the first place, which is um, love. And they see the best way for them to get love is power. So yeah, it's like an inverted spirituality that they've put themselves in and that they've perpetuated and that they join, but it leads to a lot of the negative things in the world. And I believe that that's that. So they're like the spiritual radicals, and then like the kind of like the atheist radicals would be on the humanitarian like protester side.
yeah,
But neither of these people have any sort of spirituality
yeah,
because they've never, well, not because they've never, but they've missed out on a lot of meaningful experiences that I was lucky enough to have, and so I don't blame them.
yeah,
But they've sadly not had uh or been in the right place at the right time, you know to have those experiences, and so they end up just like power hungry and not seeing any benefit of, being a good person. Yeah. And then they abuse, the religion to skew it to just serve them. They don't even believe it in themselves, is what I usually think, but I don't know.
No, I think honestly, like you kind of said it all. Like I think you broke it down beautifully. I think yeah, I can't really add much to that. But I do agree with that. I think it's clear that they're using the juxtaposition of like using something pure and like I guess what would be, you know, I do think like part of the reason that it works and that it's kind of, maybe funny is because they are devout to this idea that's very pure, very like supposed to be like for unification, like based on more like loving values and just corrupting that to the point where like they're causing these like atrocities and doing all these actions that are reprehensible in the name of something that's like obviously not with that at all. Like that would probably not that doesn't make sense. Like it does. That's not the values that are instilled through that, but they're using that to say that what they're doing is for the greater good. um
That's the contradictory part of them.
yeah, yeah,
Walking contradiction.
absolutely. And yeah, I just think they're great. I guess just like if there's one more thing I want to say is that I think I also love the fact that like Lockjaw. I don't remember how like he came across them. I think one of them is trying to recruit him, but he's clear like he probably doesn't give a shit about like what they're about. He just wants to be part of that.
Yeah,
If I remember,
that's
uh,
funny.
yeah. So I think it goes into what you're saying that like I don't even think most of them like even like really buy into like what they're kind of believing in. It's just it's just a way for them to do things to satisfy their own like power and like ego, I guess. But yeah, great aspect of the film. It is a very Pynchon theme. I haven't read a lot of Pynchon, but I think that absurdity plays right into stuff that he's done. Like I think Inherent Vice had like a flair of this too, with like some of like the more like occult like behind the scenes like not paranoia, but like that sort of thing. Just exaggerating that for the purposes of like making a point. But yeah,
I think to be honest, I think a lot of that secret stuff happens, and it is ran by a lot of the people who like have no belief in anything, and other than it is what you make it, and um, so the Inherent Vice goes into that even more, and I feel like it maybe does a better job. I'm going to Jorge. This is a good time. I'm gonna make sure, just in case the sound in here isn't good, I'm going to go to a different room.
sure,
Okay, so I'm gonna here, yeah, and then I'm gonna also put my clothes in the dryer because I had to do that.
cool. So you want to take a break real quick while you're doing that?
No, I'm yeah, you could take a break, or I whoops, I'm in the new location now.
Sure. No worries. I just didn't know how long you were gonna take, but yeah, we can still talk.
Yeah, and now I'm just going to be in that same room, and I'm going to be doing the putting the clothes in the dryer.
Perfect.
All right, and I'm going to turn on some lights.
Hmm.
So I'm glad we're on the same page with the and thank you for bringing that up about lockjaw. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't notice, but it totally, because I think you knew and think of the world in the same way as I do when it comes to the mentality of a lot of these people we're talking about.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think I only remember that because you kind of brought up that point, so it made me recall like how that kind of plays into that notion as well.
And yes, and lockjaw is like such a empty person. Like he said, he doesn't really believe in much. He's just he's just serving his desires, you know, his ego and stuff, and his sexual desire.
Yeah, yeah, no, that is an aspect that's very upfront, very, I think, exaggerated, but I think just making that point even more about like what he's actually interested in and what his true motivations are in this case.
So now I just remember, yes, that is the motivation, and I just remembered that's gonna be loud, so I'm gonna go into this room, and then I'm gonna continue it over here. Ooh, I left my phone over there, I think. Yeah,
Hmm.
here. So let me know if you could hear anything in the background once I get in here.
Okay.
And hopefully the Wi-Fi is good in here. You know, let's just rock it out in my room. I don't
Yeah.
think the Were you hearing anything in the background earlier?
No, I think it was pretty quiet on your end, so yeah,
Yeah.
no problems that I heard.
All right, cool. All right, well, now we're moving on to Perfidia, Lockjaw, and the mobs, right?
Yeah.
Connection, I thought. So I love I love looking at words and how multiple words can be unrelated, but they can still be related in different ways, even though. So one example is like mob, you know, like the group of people who are, burning down the neighborhood because they're mad at the mayor or something.
Yeah.
The or the protesters, right? This is where I connected now. The mob, those mobs, the mob mentality,
Hmm.
they're like mobsters. It's my way or the highway, you know?
Mm.
And so that's the bad mentality to have, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So Perfidia is ruled by her desires of sex and power. She is sexually aroused by the act of dominance at multiple times throughout the film. This is the same disease of the leaders in the patriarchy she seeks to destroy,
Mm.
represented by Lockjaw. Both sides are too tyrannical and ego-driven in their thinking. The middle path, later represented by the nuns and the sensei's mature approach to service for one's cause. Hold on. That There was a sentence there. Didn't make sense. So, hold on. Both sides, the Lockjaw and the Lockjaw military patriarchy and the Perfidia protest, they're too tyrannical and ego driven in their thinking. Um,
Hmm.
but there's a middle path, later represented by the nuns and the sensei's mature approach to service for one's cause. Okay, this mature middle path requires patience and selflessness, balanced with ambition and self-preservation. The revolutionaries and patriarchy have only the ambition and self-preservation aspects of themselves, but no patience or true selflessness. The
Mm.
selflessness these groups possess is not true, for their causes are only superficially acts of selfless service. In reality, their acts are done so only to serve themselves. And that's a little, I mean, they, especially with Perfidia, it's like she's like probably believes and justifies like what she's doing is right. But at the end of the day, I think we know it's, especially with that loyalty when she betrays, we know that it's not the number one reason why she's doing what she does. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely.
So Lockjaw's soldiers have an agent provocateur named Van Halen within one protest.
Yeah.
which may allude to how musicians have been said to have been co-opted by the military to pacify, infiltrate, and control civil unrest. This form of controlled opposition by the government has been said about the artists of Laurel Canyon and the hippie movement. Thus, this can also be assumed about glam rockers such as Van Halen, and even the artists of today. That was a side note. Just stop me if you want, Jorge.
Okay.
Okay. We're so close to we have one, two, three, four notes left. All right.
Hmm.
So remember the password that he can't remember what time it is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I wrote down what the quote to that answer was.
Hmm.
Okay. Time doesn't exist, yet it controls us anyways, was the quote. Um, that's the password that Bob forgot.
Yeah.
Bob forgetting this key can represent how the revolutionaries have forgotten the key to unlocking the wisdom of the past as they continue to repeat the historical failure of all revolutions. The,
Yeah.
the progress of all revolutions have always been undone, or has always been undone. Even when they've succeeded in their short-term goals of political and social gain. Those areas where they did succeed eventually fall to more corruption. And so the lesson is that the people must change, not the governments. No revolution in history has permanently brought the peace and prosperity that it promised, or we would all be in peace. Peace, freedom, and prosperity can only be achieved by one person at a time. Like the tried and true, much slower and methodical methods employed in this film by the nuns for the homeless and by the sensei for his Underground Railroad of immigrants. In other words, the revolutionaries fail to learn from history or time. Remember the quote, time doesn't exist, yet it controls us, right?
Yeah.
And I'm spinning this so hard just so I could say this shit, but I don't care.
That's all right. It worked.
Yeah. So, in other words, the revolutionaries failed to learn from history or time and thus continue to repeat it. They don't understand that the struggle for man's freedom is not fought on the battlefield, but in his heart, through random acts of kindness. The one way is the none way, not the fun way. Remember, she's all about fun and all about,
Yeah.
short term,
Verification or whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. All right. Now, skateboarder being a protester, remember the skateboarder sensei's pupil?
Yeah. Yeah.
Skateboarder being a protester reminded me of how skateboard is an individual sport.
Hmm.
There's no teammates. In this way, its challenges are more personal or individual and less systematic. And so, skateboarding can serve as an analogy to the challenge of freedom and equality in society being more so an individual challenge than a group effort. The same analogy can be drawn between Joe Rogan being a martial artist and a protester, at least in his use of his platform against the establishment, as
Yeah.
martial artists too are also non-team sports,
Mm.
right? Or martial arts are. This individual discipline for the greater good is also embodied by the sensei character, of course.
Yeah.
So, the true colors of the sensei character's discipline and love are not only shown by his well organized, peaceful, and successful small scale operation for the public good, but also in his calmness and loyalty to his cause when being arrested. This
Hmm.
display of his character can be amplified, especially when his arrest is compared with that of Perfidia's. And lastly, when Perfidia sells out her friends to protect herself, it shows that she was always more about serving herself than her cause. This is because her disloyalty to her friends represents her disloyalty to the cause, as her friends are the type of disenfranchised people that her cause was supposed to protect. A selfish person could claim that they sold out their friends for the greater good of the cause, if they thought their freedom would save the cause. But by selling out your friends, you're selling out the cause as well. Not only in the way I already said, but also because your friends make the majority of the causes revolutionaries. The
Yeah.
selfish person may justify their betrayal even further by thinking that the impact of their friends wouldn't be as great for the cause as their own. This might even go on to be true, but it would be extremely difficult to rebuild your own organization by yourself, thus making it a highly risky and unrealistic justification. So that's it.
Beautiful. Thank you for
Thank you,
that.
brother. Of course.
Yeah, a lot to, a lot to unpack. I think, hence you're really demonstrating just like I think the layers that are kind of presented in such a way for the film. I think a lot of that is like probably things that I thought of subconsciously, but like I didn't quite, could point it out as well as you did. So yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome, brother.
Yeah.
I think this movie has those layers and many that we haven't seen still, you know. I really loved it, yeah.
Yeah, I think I guess since we're on the topic of like discussing Lockjaw and I already forgot her name again.
Such a made
uh
up name. It's probably
y-
not, but I don't know.
yeah, shit, let me just look up the character
I
again.
got you. It's better to probably see it too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I had a tab open with the name just so I
Okay,
don't
good.
remember. Perfidia. There you go. Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that you'd want to like discuss them together. I do feel like they are very much entwined. I mean, just on the surface of like the plot and kind of like how the film plays out. Um, Literally, like Perfidia is such a big part of like that first initial, maybe like, I don't know if it's like a third or half, but like maybe like a fourth of the, a lot of it is just like pertaining to like their group, their group and kind of like what they do, but also like her as a character, like her actions and her approach and things like that. And it is interesting. I don't know how many people would kind of almost consider her like, do you yourself consider her like, maybe not of an antagonist per se, but like, do you think she's kind of like an antagonist, I guess?
I think that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
You think
She
that?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Because I was just thinking like there could be, I know this sounds like really bad. There could be multiple antagonists, right? Like
Oh, for
because
sure.
okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I don't know if I cut you out.
No. No, please, Jorge. That was it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I would say, I mean, obviously, I think maybe it has to do more with my own leanings towards like, I do believe what they're trying to do is maybe for a much more um, beneficial cause, or like I think they're the French. I forgot the name of the organization.
57 or 75, whatever.
Yeah, the French 75. I think their goals are for a good reason. Like I think they're trying to do the best they can for the greater good, but obviously maybe their methods are more questionable. But I think that a lot of that is like spearheaded because of the way that like Perfidious kind of like does things, and like she's obviously, maybe I think she does have like good intentions, but obviously like her other aspects of like what you were discussing with like her gratification, like she aims to kind of like it's almost like there's more at play there, and obviously those are the things that ultimately like bring her down and bring everyone down with her, because she's looking for her own self-interest, and that ultimately causes everything to kind of derail the way it does. And yeah, I just want to say that Tiana Taylor is amazing. I really thought her performance was great. She was honestly, and I think it goes into like what I was talking about with like how surprising the film kind of played out, because she's just pretty much like gone after that first initial part, and which makes sense, in the context of the story. Like they're doing all these things, and then she rats them out, and like she basically is in what's that called, she's like an informant, not informant,
Witness protection.
she's in witness protection, like flees and goes to Mexico. And yeah, so it makes sense why she's just not a factor. But like her presence, I feel like is felt, and I mean obviously because of Bob's relationship with her, and then like his daughter and everything, or her daughter. So obviously like she's still a big part of that. But I think, and then kind of like on the opposite side with like Lockjaw, I mean, I feel like maybe they were not a better match per se, but like obviously like I think there was like a thing, his infatuation with her is because he saw probably a lot in her that he admires, like the perseverance, like mostly it seems like the attraction, like like the sexual attraction, which he likes his black women, as he as he mentions in the movie. That was
Repressed attraction.
yeah, exactly. I think that's another aspect that I love. I think and I think it rings very true. I think those people um that kind of like almost like consider themselves superior, or like
Mm.
I don't know how much but there's probably like a racial factor, and like he he kind of is almost like disgusted by her, but like he can't help to still be like attracted to her. And obviously like his attraction is letting him be like used. And ultimately like when he finds out that he's being used, and his kind of repression and like hatred towards like what he did to her, and like just all that like manifest in like all these things that he's doing, like all the raids, the endless like seeking of like Bob and like the rest of the revolutionaries. And yeah, I think Lockjaw like a super interesting character. Like he's a great villain because I think he's very like you can understand like his kind of his side, and he plays it so like he's like pathetic, but also very like scary. Like I think that's a great contrast. Like
Mm.
he's like someone that like you don't. What I find really great about the character is that he obviously he's like repulsive and like very pragmatic, and like uh just like unstable. And that's kind of what makes him scary, is like the contrast is like he's very like silly in his like ways that he acts, like just like his I love like his like face twitches, and like just like he's kind of like I don't know, almost like a grown kid, but he's dangerous because of like how unstable and like erratic. And I think to your point, I think there's probably there's almost like a Jungian thing where like I think there's like almost like an unresolved like thing that just like grows and grows, and then and becomes this husk of a person that's just like very insecure and like afraid of his own like you know uh kind of way his feelings, and his attraction that it manifests into like this like vengeful and like just hatred filled a person. And yeah, he's amazing. I think yeah, they're that character is like very just like great. And yeah, I think it's they're very interesting like contrast to each other, and like ultimately like how things in the film evolve from just their relationship and everything. But yeah.
He's probably my favorite performance.
Yeah,
And he's like a child with a gun, very, very low maturity, and
yeah,
but has weapons and an army behind him. And then there's a part where you're saying like, well, you said it really good, but I'll bring up what I was thinking.
yeah, yeah,
Um, he, well, you know how some people can, yeah, repress something so much and then be vengeful against it, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe because they haven't, you know, they haven't like they think they're wrong, you know, for being like that. And
Yeah.
so but they're not able to accept responsibility for that, even though they shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with them in the first place, but and so they take it out on others who are almost um they they're also they're yeah, like what is wrong, the thing that they point out with being wrong with someone else will be what's wrong with them.
Hmm.
um
Yeah. Good
yeah, I'm
point.
not exactly sure. Yeah, you know, and that's the whole, you know, these guys are trying to, it's the mob, you know, two mobs versus the other.
Hmm.
And yeah. Uh I feel like we did a really good job though. This was good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you pretty much summarized it really well. I think he I think he might. I don't know if he's my favorite performance, but I would say he's one of the best performances of the film. And yeah, I think to your point, like it's like it is like an unresolved thing, and because of that, he dislikes things that he dislikes of himself. So it's like kind of like because he thinks it's wrong to feel that way, he's projecting that onto the others, and therefore he thinks of them as like bad, and what they're doing is bad. And yeah, it's great character. Paul is like the G for that. I don't. I guess like we've been talking for an hour. I know we have like limited time. Don't know like how you want to go about like wrapping things up. I did want to kind of like ask you some questions if that's okay. I don't want to like break format or anything.
Nope.
Um, I'm just
Oh,
curious. Like, have you read Vineland, which is apparently what the book is loosely based on?
if I was with my copy, I would be able to tell you exactly what page I stopped on.
Oh, okay.
It was like 120 or 200, but a lot of it was audiobook and a lot of it was it never caught my interest. And
Oh,
so I
okay.
would like tap out and I'd be like, yeah, this is not the one for me, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah,
But there were some aspects about that movie, or sorry, about that book where they've left out completely here.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but you know, and completely changed, and I wouldn't know exactly how much of it really they kept because I feel like there are so many similar archetypes, but Paul decided to make his own story with it. How about you? Have you read that?
No, I haven't. I know some people that have. Based on like what I've been told and like what I've looked up in terms of the book, it seems like it was kind of like the basis for the idea. It seems like there's a lot of things that are similar, but I feel like obviously the way that the story kind of takes those kind of like maybe more broad aspects of the novel is it does seem to veer off pretty differently. Um, but I guess like it is to me. I think a lot of why I feel like um, I think this is very much like inspired by it, and you could feel it with like just like the level of absurdity. I feel like I think what makes the film great is because there's like such a contrast between the kind of absurd and like kind of very parody-esque and like just like silliness of that all, but like also the grounded real and like very palpable kind of truth to it all. And I think that's an amazing sort of combination. I feel like the film resonates because ultimately it's enjoyable to watch. It's like a great, I think, I have recommend to a lot of people even that maybe wouldn't be into these kind of movies or maybe into like other of Anderson's films, because I think it strikes the right balance of like getting at something like, you know, having a wider kind of subject that it's talking about and discussing, but at the same time like just a ride of a movie, like just in like super entertaining, like hilarious, like it's just like it's a chaotic, it's a really, it's honestly like the whole movie felt like a chase like for the majority of it, and I think it's amazing. I really was astounded by like just everything about its structure and like how something this bold and like crazy could be like giving like such a high budget. Like it's not that it fucking matters, you know, like but yeah, I'm just astounded like this is something that exists, and I'm just very happy that it does. And yeah, I think it's great.
Definitely. I like that you commented on that absurd and grounded, because I feel like it takes a really, really good author to be able to do that, and screenwriter, and
Yeah.
because it's such a fine line you have to draw. But Trevor, he also said in the Eddington review that, and it made so much sense to me, and it was something I wanted to say or I was thinking of, but he said that it's so hyper real that it feels surreal. You
That's
know,
a good point. Yeah,
it's
that's a
crazy
really good
because
point.
life is, it's like David Lynch, like you would think a lot of that stuff wouldn't happen in real life. Like in Blue Velvet, like you would think people aren't that crazy. But meanwhile, since we have the phone now to scroll through, like people are doing that stuff, you know, and they're like, you know, they
Yeah,
are that crazy,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's a great quote. This is like kind of maybe this like digressing from that, but that reminds me a lot. Like this is another great masterpiece of cinema, and I'm sure you're familiar with the movie Freddy Got Fingered, but I
Yes.
think that's a really what made me think of that is that like I think for the present time into which it exists, I think that film is like more like it's almost like cute and like kind of, I don't want to say innocent, but it's like I feel a lot of it does not hold up in like it's like just like because that movie's like very like racy and like I'm sure you've seen it or know of it. Very racy, very like just like uh what's the word? Very racy, very like uncomfortable and like very like it's like cringe comedy, like just like very like subject matter that's very taboo, but
Hmm.
like yeah, because of just like the existence of the internet, just like the access of it and everything, like it's almost like cute in comparison, like it's like that. And that I think that goes into like your friend's kind of summation of like Eddington, like it's like those aspects like are almost like so like it's like stranger than it's like um the truth, what's that quote, it's like
Stranger
truth
than fiction, or
yeah.
the yeah, the truth is or the yeah.
I can't remember. You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's "Truth is stranger than fiction." I think that's the quote. But like, and I think it goes into that. It's like, just yeah, that is the quote. "Truth is stranger than fiction," and I think this is emblematic of that because while it is exaggerated, like you could feel the actual like the cusp of it is like very much in line with like things that are real and that are, you know, of the that actually exist. So yeah.
I also like that you picked that you talked about how it's a chase film, you know, or like a lot of it is a chase, and you know, yeah, what it, well, like there isn't much of a better way to keep you on on the edge of your seat, you know, like I throughout the whole movie I was in a candy shop, you know. I was like, yep, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Paul.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this has been said to death, but like that last part, that last chase at the with like the hills and like just like the up and down, that
Hmm.
was like enthralling. Like that's yeah, that I haven't felt that tense watching. That's like masterful right there. Like I like tip my hat, my fucking fedora shit to that. That was no, honestly, like that sequence is amazing. I think it caps off everything beautifully, and like yeah, it's I I've honestly, like, this is like, if this doesn't like win like best editing for the year, and I guess there's like a few more things that maybe are coming out that could contest it, but like, wow, what a tight, extremely well crafted, just like insane ride.
What else are you looking forward to this year? Speaking of,
Oh man, there's a couple. The Yeah, the new Park Chan Wook movie, the Old Boy director, No Other Choice. That looks excellent. I've heard really good things. He's one of my faves, so really looking forward to that. Aside from that, um, I heard the new Safdie brothers film, or the Josh Shaft, the one that Josh is doing, Morty Supreme. I've heard that's great too. Really excited for that. And yeah, I mean, aside from that, I think I don't know how much you've been keeping with like the festival premieres or like whatever. Hamnet, I think it's called. It's like the Chloe Zhao. She's like the woman that did Nomad Land, and the Eternal is a Marvel movie.
yeah.
She has a new movie with like with Paul Mescal and Jesse Buckley. I think it's like something to do with Shakespeare. I don't know exactly, but I've heard it's great. It's like based on a book that a friend actually told me about. That I've heard that's great. Yeah, off the top of my head, those are the few that I can think of right now. Oh, and Frankenstein, I guess. I like Del Toro, so that'll be fun. I haven't heard great things about it, but I digress. I'm still looking forward to it because I do like him as a director. And yeah, what about you? Any that come to mind?
Well, we're gonna see him this weekend because it's the last week it's out in theaters.
Oh
I would
yeah,
love to
the
see you in that review.
oh man, I'll try to catch it. I don't know if I have time, but I mean, I'd still love to hear you talk about it. But yeah, so that and what else?
All right. Yeah, let me see what else is coming out. This was like the major I had to see because I love Paul.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
I missed the Darren Aronofsky film. It's not in theaters anymore.
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, I wanted to see that too. I think at some point, if you'd want to do still want to talk about it at some point, like I'd be down. I
Yeah.
also forgot about the new Yorgos film Begonia.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks great.
Oh
Like
yeah.
him a lot. Yeah, that's one that I'll definitely catch. Yeah, I'm not sure what else. Anything else on your end that looks worthwhile?
Yeah, I'm gonna check. Um, trying to look it up real quick.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I will say I think this is and I haven't been able to talk to you for a bit. I think this has turned out to be a very interesting year for film. I've heard you discuss a couple of stuff, like Eddington already, and Venetian Scheme and stuff like that. So yeah, I think this is being turning out very interesting. So I'm just curious, like what is having has your experience been this year for that?
I think Phoenician Scheme and Honey Don't and Mickey 17 and Superman
Yeah.
and Eddington and this movie
Mm-hmm.
and let's see what else is coming out soon. Um, darn. I feel like this shouldn't be this hard. Oh, isn't there a good Tom Cruise movie coming out?
um. Well, Mission Impossible came out. I think he's doing another movie, but I don't think it comes out. Uh, he's doing a movie with Alejandro Iñárritu, the Birdman guy, but I don't think that comes out for like maybe like a year or two. Not sure.
Super hyped about the guy. You remember that It Follows director, Michael something R.
Oh, Robert Mitchell. Yeah, yeah.
Robert Mitchell. There we go. R. dyslexia. But yeah,
Sorry.
no, my fault. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's the next movie for him comes out next year, something like about flowers or something. Gotta be the
Uh,
best movie of all time.
oh my God. I didn't even know about that. I
Because
mean,
I love the Under the Silver Lake. I haven't even seen It Follows, but
I didn't even know he had that movie coming out. That's thank you for pointing that out. I know he's doing
of
like an It
course.
Follows sequel, but no, I didn't know this was like in the works. Yeah. This is probably gonna be the best movie of all time. Yeah. But yeah, great. Thank you.
I
Now I have
use
that
that
on my
term
radar.
loosely.
I
A
mean,
Wicked for Good.
yeah. Oh yeah, I got Chem is that's gonna be top of the list for sure.
For me, actually, it is.
Okay.
It's up there. You know, I love The Wizard of Oz, and I love the first Wicked movie, and I love the idea of Wicked for Good. So
Right on.
The SpongeBob movie, got to see that. You know,
Classic, yeah.
Marty Supreme, got to see that since you were,
Oh
telling
yeah.
me.
That's gonna be like this and one battle probably gonna be like the it boys for the year.
Predator Badlands, Steve will do the review with me, so I have to see that.
Nice.
Frankenstein, got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Springsteen, gotta not see it. Uh,
Gotta not see it.
gonna see Good Fortune because my friend got me a free ticket for that.
Oh, sick.
Tr Tron Ares, gotta
Oh
see it.
man. Oh man.
I actually
Yeah.
want to see that.
Or hear it because I mean, yeah, the Nine Inch Nails score is probably gonna be amazing. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there'll be good movies, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk down the line for the rest of the year. So yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of does it for our for this episode. But really appreciate the opportunity, man. Like it was lovely talking to you again, and yeah, I'm glad we were to talk about this movie in depth, and like I appreciate your insight into it. And yeah, I'd love to come back. Thank you for the opportunity.
All my love and respect to you, brother. There would be no episode without you today. I promise this is yeah, this is a dream come true, and I hope that you'll be in every episode. But as many as that you're willing to will be suffice for me. Or, you know, I, if this is all I get, then I'm the happiest man alive. So, but I think we can make it work. Hopefully, I'll pay you.
Oh, I'm expensive. No, no, I'll come back halfway. Like it was great. Like you don't have to worry about that. Like I'll definitely make time to come back and talk again. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course, Jorge. Thank you, brother.
All right. Well,
Well,
thanks again for that. And yeah, appreciate it.
of course, Jorge. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Really, we had a treat with Jorge. He's a scholar when it comes to this. This is please go watch his performance. It's High Low Bubs Incorporated. Type it in on YouTube. All
Thank you,
right,
Mike.
guys. Of course. Thank you, Jorge. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.